Hello, welcome back to Just an Opinion Movie Review, and for today we're not reviewing a movie. I know, right? Shocker. I've had this idea for a couple weeks now where I want to, if there's a game that I want to talk about, I want to review it, but I don't want to do it as like another series because I'm not dedicated to playing a bunch of games and then going, oh, this for each week. So whenever there's a game that interests me or I want to talk about, I'll just put on the movie review. So this game is the game we're talking about today is Route 96, and you play as multiple teens that have no faces, no bodies. They're just silhouettes. And so the first character you pick. Oh, I don't know if you pick them or if you just start off as the character. Yeah, because in my playthrough, you start off driving down this road, and I got ambushed by two criminals who are named Stan and Mitch. And so the premise of this game is that what you'll do is each playthrough is kind of like I don't know if I'm saying roguelike in the right way, but you start over each playthrough. And hey kitty. Oh, I got the good spot. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, well, you came over here. You want loving. Alright, sorry, that's my cat LeBron. He likes to, if he hears me talk, he thinks I'm talking to him, so he comes over and wants to be my one audience. But each playthrough you play as a different teen, and what it will be is the news reporter Sonia from GNN. She'll go, oh, and I care about missing teens, and so here's the latest missing teens, and you'll get to pick through three, and you can either choose between a teen that has a lot of health but like no money, or vice versa, or a teen that's in the middle of having a little bit of money, a little bit of health. So yeah, the first character I play as, I run into robbers, and so what will happen is you'll run into so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters that you'll run into over the course of going through this game. So each time you either choose to hitchhike, drive a cab, or walk, and depending on how much it is from the next spot, it'll cost health. So these aren't characters that you'll meet in particular orders. So the first person I meet is Stan and Mitch. So they're robbers, and they rob this place, and their storyline is like they are somebody's going to attack Sonia, and they're like, oh, we got to figure out who's doing it. So every time you run into them, you're going to be getting a story of like, oh, well, we think it's this person, and so I don't remember exactly what happened after. So basically, I end up making the team to the Route 96, and then you get to. And then I didn't know this at the beginning, but there's multiple paths, and once you do that path, the next playthrough that path is blocked off. So I did the one where I climbed the mountains and stuff, and I ended up getting my team to safety. And I was like, oh, cool, and then. Throughout the game, and you realize this towards the next playthrough, but I didn't realize it till like the third or fourth playthrough, that your actions have consequences. Now the game sets up as you're trying to escape this. So Petra, I think that's what the place is called. You are. It's a dictatorship country, and as a teen, you're like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And the premise is a lot of teens are leaving. Now, also, a lot of teens are getting caught, and they're getting sent to, they don't say concentration camps, but it's essentially concentration camps. And you either can get to the end, and if you get to the end and you're able to get through all the checkpoints and stuff like that, you escape. And if you don't, then you get arrested. So the game doesn't tell you that throughout the game you're going to be making choices that are going to impact the election coming up in September. So as you're making these decisions, as you're talking to these characters, they're having consequences on a little side, and some of these consequences are happening that are gonna cause events later on in the game, and I think those are more of what will choose what the outcome is. But yeah, when you get to the end of every time you get to the end, you can choose to spray paint, and it's vote as, and that's the good thing. Stay neutral, which is I don't know what neutral is, and then there's fight the power, which is basically a kind of a terrorist type. You want people to attack. So every time I get to the end, I realize that the current president, his votes are at 60 some percent, and then the president who's running for it, they were at 30, and then the side of we're not voting. So I didn't realize that the kids were having an impact. Basically, what I'm getting at. Also, throughout the game, and I don't remember every single story or every single thing that happened throughout the game, because sometimes you won't meet any characters. You'll just be a quick to the next checkpoint. And I think about each character has about 8 checkpoints that they go through. And I don't mean actual like checkpoints, but like, if you see on the map, you'll stop at certain spots. But there's a story premise playing through where you meet John, who's a truck driver, and he's a former I can't think of what it's called, but not militia, but like he was against the president, so they had blew rocks up or something, and people were crushed, and so then now that the president's like, oh, you see, those are terrorists, and so now he's trying to turn good, and he has a partner that's like, no, we gotta do this again, we gotta attack again. And so I didn't realize his story to the very end, where I'm like, oh. And he kind of teams up with Alex, who's a 14-year-old genius. I'm reading off of Nintendo Wire. Genius that has basically he's intelligent, and so John's partner is like, oh yeah, Alex, you should make a bomb. And Alex is like, yeah, sure, I'll make a bomb. But and then there's also another girl that you'll meet across the way. Her name's Zoe, and she is the daughter of the president. And so she tells the first character, like, oh yeah, I'm the daughter of the president, and I'm like, oh cool, yeah, whatever, I'm just a teen. And so her playthrough is like, over the next couple of stories, I end up getting her to escape, which cost one of my teens to end up dying. So in my first 3 playthroughs, one teen escaped. The next teen, I didn't realize what the health was, and that's where I noticed once you run out of health, then you go to jail. And then the third teen helped Zoe. Either the third or 14. I think it might have been the 14. I think I got the third teen away, and then the 14 I think got shot and killed. Which then throughout the rest of the playthrough, like, oh, did you hear about that teen that got shot? And then the president news is like, oh yeah, no, that was nothing. That was a terrorist attack. That wasn't a teen. And people are like, well, I think that was a teen. And so you could see, but it's like, I don't have any connections to any of these teens. They have no body. They have no face. They're all just silhouettes. And so basically my playthrough, I got Zoe across to explain to the world that, yeah, this is a dictatorship. And later on in the game, I got John to say, hey, no, we're not doing the terrorist attack. And then I got Alex to not make the bomb. And then we have a plot twist where the two robbers, they're actually, the reason why they want to protect Sonia is because they're brothers to her. And Sonia, she's, like I said, she's GNN News, and so she's basically Fox News in a nutshell. She has 2 personalities. She has an on-screen personality where she talks, like this, And then she has, when in real life, she talks like this. She talks a little southern, and she's, I was kind of like on the thing of like, yeah, I'll just, I'll let you get sniped, because she's very awful to the teens. I mean, she kind of treats them as like not slaves, but like, well, here, I'll give you $50 because you ain't worth nothing. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I'm trying to protect you here. I'm trying to tell you that there's a guy coming for you, and the guy who's coming for her is the taxi driver, Jared. And so his story is that there was a girl who died at the terrorist attack 10 years before, and which was caused by John and his partner. And what happened is the rock fell on Jared's daughter, and thus he, for some reason, was like, Sonia is the guilty party. But then once he figured out that Sonia's not it, then he's going after the terrorist group. And so the other thing is that the game, and I don't know, I could have looked this up, but I didn't want to. The game starts, like I said, you're working towards, you start in June of 1996, and then you work your way to September of 1996. And so each teen is taking place over time. But throughout the game, events happen, and you'll get to see those events. So what different teams will see, you won't see the event. So like, I came across the cop, which I don't know if her name's, Fanny. Her name's Fanny. And the first time I met her, she's like, oh yeah, my car was attacked by the terrorists. Now, you don't get to see that scene until my playthrough was about in August, or I think about August, when I saw that scene where the cop car was attacked by the terrorists, being Alex blowing up a sign. So I don't get how something, because I first saw her in June in that scene, and then that scene happened in August. So I'm like, I'm not sure how all that type of stuff worked. But yeah, so I end up, Fanny is also and Fanny and John have this love story. But so John's a truck driver, Fanny's a police officer, and they're talking on CB radio, but they don't know of each other. Just like, oh, you're Papa Bear and you're Mama Bear. So I end up getting them to fall in love. And then they end up taking Alex, because Alex, the reason why he wants to make this bomb is because he believes he'll get information about who his real parents are, because Fanny is not his real mom. And so his parents are found out to be, they are the people who made the bomb in the 86 terrorist attack. So I get them to safety. And then Zoe comes back, and because I think his name's President Tyrak. And so because he's such an asshole, he says, open fire. And so Zoe, for some fucking reason, is in the middle of the war, and she ends up dying. So I'm like, okay. But somehow I end up getting the good ending. And so the good ending is that the voters and the absentee people, they came together, or otherly known as the terrorists, came together and said, we're going to vote you out, President Tyrak. So President Tyrak got voted out. And then Zoe is the ending of the, she narrates, like, it's good right now, but, it's not better, but we're working towards it. So yeah, so hopefully that it's a cluster fuck. Basically, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. I just things are just kind of popping in my head. Basically, you're just playing the events up until September, but they're going to be in different orders of the teens. And like I said, the teens have their silhouettes of just random characters, and you don't even know if they're a boy or girl, because the character will look just like a boy, and they'll go, "Hey, it's a girl," and it's like, "Okay, I guess I'm a girl." And then vice versa, there's a character, I'm like, "That's totally a girl," and they're like, "Nope, that's a boy." I'm like, "Okay." The game overall isn't bad. It's kind of like I don't think there's a time limit on the choices you can make with the decisions, but the problem is that the decisions are kind of hooked to the character. So if the character's moving, the decisions are moving with it. So there's been times where I was like, no, I'm going to make this, I'm going to say, this isn't a thing. But shoot the character or hand the gun over to the character. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hand the gun over to the character. So I go pick that, but because their character moves, it goes, oh, shoot character, and it's like, okay, well, fuck me. I guess that's on me. But yeah, so otherwise, the game's not bad. It's a very generic story. Every time I see Stan and Mitch, the two robbers, it's just like, oh yeah, this game's stupid. And because they don't take their masks off, they're like, hey, I'm going to go get the car, Stan. Yeah, go get the car, Mitch, or whatever like that. You know, that's how they talk. And so, I mean, when they come on, it's like, oh my god. Alex, you know, I keep telling him every time I play teen, like, oh, talk to your mom, you know, talk to your mom, you know, Fanny, because she's worried about you. And he's like, yeah, okay. And it's like the next teen that comes up is like, yeah, go talk to your mom. Yeah, okay. It's like, okay. And the other thing too, throughout the playthroughs, basically whoever you're talking to is like almost the next character that you'll see. So sometimes I'll be talking to John, and he'll be talking to Alex. And then the next ride up, I meet Alex, and like there's no hint of like, oh, was I talking to you on the mic? You know, there's none of that. And so that's the one thing that's kind of frustrating, where I was like, okay, you know, I get that I don't technically, the characters I'm playing as don't know who any of these characters are, but it's like me seeing them, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can put two together. Like, but overall, I'll give this game a. I'll actually do it. I'm gonna do a half this time. I'm gonna do 3.5. I think it's a fine game. If you find it for like $20, I think it's worth it. The characters, I didn't get into, like, Sonia was annoying. Jared, I mean, his was kind of fun because like you can start pissing him off, and then it's like I wish I would have pissed him off, because I'm like, but most of the time, every time I didn't encounter him too much, and he's a cab driver. But when I would encounter him, my character would be like doing either good on health or good on money. So I'm like, well, I don't want to cost my character this, so I would not do anything. But then when I didn't have a character that had like nothing, I never met him. And then Zoe, like I met her the first couple times, and she's fine. She's kind of like every generic teen girl that you meet in games. But otherwise, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this special. I might do some more games, throw it in here. Yeah, just let me know. All right, take it easy.